is one of the more powerful escapes. Just remember that everything we're gonna do, like every escape you do, is really determined by your opponent's position, by their weight distribution, by their balance, by a lot of factors. And we're gonna kind of summarize all that at the very end. But typically with this next one, I really wanna do this next one if his hips are a little bit closer to mine. So if his knee is like right over my belly button, right, and his foot is kind of far away like this one's not gonna be very effective, right? This is really good if this knee is closer to this far hip and he's like really committed. He's super heavy here. Like this is not fun for me at all, but that's what I want. I want the more of his weight and base loaded up on me, the better, okay? For this and really for the next one as well too. So again, I'm always gonna start with this belt grip if it's there. If it's not there, just grab onto the skirt or something you can pull on later if you need to, right? But I always start here because this is kind of the basis, right? This is where we start our shrimp escape and all that. But one of the grips that Matt's gonna probably have from Neon Belly, very common, he's gonna have this belt grip because it locks my hips down, but he's also probably gonna have a sleeve grip. This is a really common grip from Neon Belly because if he lifts my elbow off the mat, especially if he's like pulling my shoulder off the mat, this is really bad for me because I can't turn my shoulders anymore and I can't turn my hips. So if he keeps my shoulders off the mat, it's really hard for me to turn my upper body at all, okay? Because I can't put this on the ground to pull it under me to shrimp. So it makes that first escape really hard. And he's also stopping me from grabbing the belt probably, which can make that first one really difficult, right? Because I can't make the space that I need to shrimp. So just always remember if somebody has a sleeve grip on you, or really any grip on you, you have a grip on them, okay? So just because he's grabbing me doesn't mean this hand is dead in the water. If I can pummel my hand to the outside, I can re-grip on him as well, right? So now his grip becomes my grip and I can use it against him, all right? So what we're gonna do is the same exact motion as that we did from our, the Dirty Dancing escape from the mount where we blast the person and like hold them up over our hips, whatever, like the lift, whatever we call it. We're gonna do that same exact motion with our knee, right? So I'm gonna take my knee off of his butt for just a split second, and then I'm gonna start to lift my hips up like a bridge. And as my hips are coming up, I'm also gonna hit him with my leg as hard as I can, okay? So I'm gonna bridge and lift, right? But I'm holding this sleeve and I'm pulling it so he can't put his hand on the mat. All right, that's really important. This will still work if you lose this sleeve, but it's way better if you can keep a grip on it, right? But once he starts moving and falling forward, he doesn't have any pressure on me anymore. So I'm just gonna start to turn, come up, where I can start attacking the single leg, right? So I can drive my head into his hip to knock him over, right? Just keep barrel driving in. And now I'm in a good spot where I've got him a little bit bound up here and I can start to pass around, probably to the back, and at least get side control out of it. So there won't be any points for this because it's a reversal because I don't have a guard. So it's not really a sweep, but it's basically a sweep without a guard, so it's a reversal, right? So he has a grip on my sleeve. Usually circling out is the right answer and just catching a grip wherever you can. Okay, it doesn't have to be on the bottom of the sleeve. It doesn't have to be anywhere. He's right in the middle of between my elbow and my wrist. That's exactly where I'm gonna grab him. Doesn't really matter, doesn't have to be perfect, right? The big key though is to really sell this blast and try to get them moving as far as possible so that you can come up for the single, right? So I'm here, I drop my knee really quick, I bridge, lift, immediately start to turn, right? And just start to come up however it happens. He might try to fight and turn back into me. Maybe I grab his far leg, pull it out from under him, start to come up. Right? You're gonna have to be a little bit creative how you finish that takedown. It's basically a single leg. Like we do a lot of single legs from half guard and stuff like that. It's no different. Just find a way to knock them down on their butt. As long as you have this sleeve in one of their legs, it's gonna be really hard for them to fight back unless they're an insanely good wrestler, right? So a little bit faster. I'm here. He's got the pressure on. He's got great grips. He's really jacking me up here. So I bridge, lift. Say he stays standing. I'm gonna go up with him. Maybe switch this grip. Come around. Finish my single leg. Take him down. Right. Like I said, just get kind of creative with how it finishes. I don't want you guys to fight back too much just yet. Try to learn the motions first. But it's basically this bump, bridge, knee blast position, and then pull that sleeve down at the same time so they can't post that hand on the mat. And then once they fall, kick this leg straight, I'm up, and start to attack and get to the top. Okay? Now, as you guys are doing these escapes, you're probably having a hard time. Like, things probably feel really clunky, and like maybe you're blasting the person and they're not really moving very far and stuff like that. I want you guys to understand that when you guys are drilling, like, Michelle knows exactly what I'm doing, so she's anticipating falling forward, right? So she's probably putting a little more weight in her other leg than possible. Like, that's happening with some of you guys. It's not that you're being a bad partner on top. It's just, it's a natural thing to not want to fall on your face, right? So you're gonna kind of compensate for it a little bit. But when you're sparring with somebody, nobody's gonna expect them to be blasting you in the butt with your knee like that fast and that hard, right? So you're gonna catch people by surprise, and most of the escapes we do are gonna come by surprise, but not just because they're not expecting that thing, because you're gonna be doing other things too. You're gonna be trying to set up with potentially other movements and escapes, and they'll probably be off balance at some point. If Michelle is just sitting here and she's putting all of her weight into her knee, and she's pulling up on this sleeve, and she's lifting it off the floor, and she's cranking down with her elbow and grip on this hip, this is like, none of these escapes are gonna work, right? Because she's in perfect balance, right? We can never escape, well, I don't say never, but it's really hard to escape when somebody's in perfect balance. So getting her to move a little bit can really help create an unstable structure on her, which can help me get my sweep or my escape, right? So sometimes that stuff is just feels like it's not working, or it'll never work or whatever. It's probably just because you're drilling it, right, on somebody that's not resisting necessarily, but they're also not trying to keep the position too much. So another thing I wanted to mention, I got asked this question like 4 times. It's probably a really good question. So where do I want to grip on the arm? Do I want to grab just here wherever I can? Or is it really important that I circle, all right? It's really important that you circle, okay? If I just grab wherever I can on her arm, on the front side of her arm, if she lets go of that grip, she has a perfectly straight arm, right? That she can move wherever she wants. She has full control of this arm now, right? If she lets go, this isn't gonna do anything for me anymore, right? But if I'm on the outside, here, now I have a frame in front of her arm, so when she tries to let go and put the hand on the mat, right? I'm not really using strength anymore, I just put something in front of it, right? So when I blast and pull this down, it's not that she isn't fast enough to put it down, it's because for her to put this hand on the mat, she's gotta circle it around and then put it down, which is gonna be really slow, slower than what I'm doing because I'm surprising her, right? So it is important the way we do all of our grips and stuff like that. Small details, but they do actually add up in the long run to your success. So our next escape is a little bit difficult. It's gonna be another hip shovel escape, okay? But again, it's gonna come off of off balancing your opponent. I'm gonna show you one way to set up the off balance, or 1 or 2 ways, and then we'll work from there. So again, I'm gonna start with my right hand on the belt if I can, but maybe this time her belt's not there, right? Maybe whatever, I can't grab onto it. What I'm gonna do is scoop my arm in between her foot and my hip, okay? So I put my hand right in this hole here, and I'm gonna shoot it through as far as I can to get my elbow through. So I might have to crunch my body to the side and get my arm through nice and deep. But once I get that arm through to my elbow, I should be able to bend my arm up and grab something on the backside. I like to grab onto the skirt down here, the tail, or the belt. The belt's the perfect grip, but sometimes it just doesn't work with different body types, but the skirt is always there. If the jacket's open, sometimes the pants are available, but I wanna grab something there that allows me to pull and like pull back down to the mat with my hand, right? Because the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna test her balance here. I'm gonna basically walk my hips out to the side a little bit, just a little bit, and then I'm gonna push into her belly and sit up, okay? If she's not ready for it, she's gonna fall onto her back. I can sweep. It's the most simple, stupidest thing in the world for a reversal, but it's pretty effective, right? But it's also gonna get a reaction out of her once I start moving. So she's up. So I'm scooping this arm through deep between her foot and my hip, all the way through to my elbow, so I can reach up and grab the pants, okay? So like I said, now she's got a good grip on my belt because she knows what I'm doing. So when I start to move my hips out and try to push, right, she's not gonna go fall backwards because she has good balance, because now she's overcompensating because she knows I wanna push her backwards. So she's pushing back into me. So I'm gonna scoot back towards her with my hips, and then I like to grab onto the collar here and just pull down, right? So I start pushing into her, right? Start trying to walk away, but she's following me. So I push back, pull her over this side, okay? So I'm basically starting to walk away to force her to follow me, right? Because if she doesn't, I can sit up and push, right? And when she files in, I just grab that collar, scoot back in, and then wheel back to the other side. So it takes a lot of timing, but these type of escapes are really powerful in all the positions because you're forcing somebody to overcommit their balance or their weight to one side of your body, and then you're going to take advantage of it. All right, so I'm scooping under, getting a grip, high as I can on the jacket, because I want as much pull back there as possible. So I just move a little bit, move my legs out of the way, right? And I try to push on her to knock her backwards. That time it would have worked, right? But I push into her, she pushes back. You can even grab right here on this collar right here and just push that shoulder. She's pushing back, so I'm gonna scoop my hips back under, and as I do that, I pull down, roll, and come up. Now I keep this grip, and I keep this heel compressed to her butt, right? Because I want to be able to get to side control, right? I don't want this leg to come over the top, so I get in nice and low. I start to pass, and then I open my arm to push her heel to her butt, and pull her knee away from her hip, right? And then I just settle into side control. Now I can release my grip and be on top and finish, okay? So like I said, we're gonna start the motion, moving back and trying to sit up and dump the person on their back, right? If that doesn't work if they're following, then we just grab and wheel back the other direction, take them off balance, because that's the way they're pushing, right? Let's do it. 1, 2, 3. That there's, I think I mentioned this like this morning, there's 100 ways to do a technique correctly and 100 ways to do it incorrectly, right? There's so many variables that are going to change which way he falls and all this other stuff. It's not super important which way, which shoulder they fall over and stuff like that. The important things are that you escaped the bad position, you got to the top, and that you didn't get submitted in the process, right? Those are my like 3 things that I'm always looking for when I get out of a bad position. I want at least one of those things. I want to either escape, or I want to get to the top, or I want to just not get submitted in the process, right? If I can accomplish all 3, awesome, right? So I'm coming through here, getting this grip, right? This grip usually solidifies that they're going to go over this shoulder, but sometimes when you're here with this thumb in grip here, like, because I'm pushed, this is a really good grip to push with, because if I can get this grip, and he can't really attack it, because he can't step around for the arm bar anymore, because I'm grabbing his hips and they're locked in place, right? So I can grab onto this lapel and kind of like push his shoulders. When I walk away and I push, like he's pushing back into me pretty actively right now. So when I switch and turn the other way and start pulling down, like I can pull him over either shoulder. He's either gonna turn his head and fall over that far shoulder, or he's gonna turn his head and fall over this shoulder. In this case, I come up to north-south, right? I don't care. I escaped, I got to the top, and I didn't get submitted, okay? It doesn't affect your technique. It's not saying you're doing something wrong. If they fall a certain way and it's all clunky and like it doesn't look exactly the way the coach did it, doesn't matter. As long as you get to the top, escape and don't get submitted, I'm fine with it, I'm happy with it. You get a passing grade from me, okay? So just keep that in mind. Technique is important. Most important thing is timing. So as long as you're doing stuff at the right time, that's what we want, okay? Timing, start working on your timing, thinking about that all the time. I do want you guys to practice perfect technique, but more importantly is perfect timing, okay? So you get someone to react into you, push them back, knock them over, make them lose balance. You did exactly what your objective was, right? That's the important thing. All right, good job tonight, everybody.